Heroes in History, The Underground Railroad, read to you by Carol Brigham. The Underground Railroad was not a railroad. It was not underground. It was a network of homes where runaway slaves could get help on their way north to freedom. Until 1865, 15 states in the South had laws that allowed people to own slaves. The owners of large plantations needed many workers. 19 states in the North had laws against slavery. Enslaved people from Africa worked in the fields picking cotton and doing other farm work. They took care of horses and farm animals. They built, painted, and repaired things. Some slaves worked in their owners' homes. They cooked, cleaned, washed clothes, and took care of their owners' children. Some slave owners treated their slaves well, but many owners were very cruel. Slaves were bought and sold like animals. An enslaved husband and wife could be sold to different owners. Their children could be sold to a third owner. Thousands of slaves ran away. Runaways often wore disguises, women dressed as men and men dressed as women. But many runaways were caught. They didn't know where to run. Owners went out with dogs to find them or sent slave hunters to find them. When owners caught the runaways, they punished them severely. It was against the law to help runaway slaves. However, many white people and free black people helped. These people hid runaways in cellars or barns in the daytime. They gave them food for their next day's journey. They told them the best way to get to the next safe home. Some of the people took slaves in their wagons to the next safe place on the way north. This secret network of safe homes began around 1820. It was later called the Underground Railroad. The homes were called stations. The network had many lines leading north. The people who helped the runaways were called conductors. When slaves reached northern states, they were free. Many went to big cities to find work. White people and free black people helped them find jobs. However, after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, the northern states were not safe for slaves anymore. Slave hunters or owners could go into the northern states and bring runaways back to the South. Enslaved people who escaped had to go all the way to Canada to be free. It was dangerous to help runaways. Some of the conductors were sent to jail. Between 40,000 and 100,000 slaves escaped using the Underground Railroad. Some slaves who ran away came back to show other slaves the way. They taught them the phrase, "Follow the North Star." They showed them that the pointer stars of the Big Dipper point to the North Star. Harriet Tubman. The most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad was Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a slave. She had escaped alone. Later, she went back south to show her husband the way to freedom. But he had married again. He didn't want to leave. Harriet decided she would help other slaves to get to the north. In the north, she worked as a cook. She saved her money to help when she led slaves to freedom. She learned the routes and stations of the Underground Railroad. She went to the South in the winter when nights were long. Harriet got slaves together on Saturday night. They started their run for freedom then. Their owners would not miss them until Monday morning. She took many slaves with her on each trip. She risked death each time. Other slaves in the South knew about her. They called her Moses. Moses in the Bible had led the Jewish people out of slavery in Egypt. Harriet made 13 trips and led more than 70 slaves to freedom. She also gave directions to 70 more slaves who escaped. During the Civil War, she helped lead a mission that freed over 700 slaves. The abolitionist John Brown called Harriet one of the best and bravest persons on this continent. The movie Harriet tells the story of her travels on the Underground Railroad. It came out in 2019. For more information about Easy English News, and to subscribe to our digital version or paper copies, visit easyenglishnews.com.